Yeah, who am I? Yep, most of them knows, but I'm now career software tooling lead there, and open source engineer for a long, long time there. And I'm nothing now because it disappears completely.
There you go.
And let's go back. And now I'm sw360 core developer. Why I become this, I can tell you later. And I do coding for fun. I really coding at home for fun. There's, if you pay attention on Wolfgang's talk, there's about what about the employee that goes at home and coding things that be using in service. Wait, I'm doing this from the last 25 years. I'm always using everywhere, so do it home there. And why I'm doing this talk there, this is pretty basic, simple. This technology is evolved for different directions than the original one. The compliance become more and more important. This is obvious for now. And there's no software tackling compliance properly. That's true in the several levels there. And only security, and even that is still half-baked there. And the solutions are half-baked. You can go everywhere. You can go for any company, and big proprietary company, and open source. There's still kind of half-baked, because you need to done in a hurry, and I think that was not designed. And open compliance groups finally set up some standards. We're talking things like open chain there, that you can find some orientation this. So, little background why this comes there. So Siemens was ahead of this time there, of course, because they foresee a software that doing this kind of things that we are really needed today, but was 10 years ago there. So they really did the one thing that is really great. But it was designed what the technologies existed at the moment. In this case, sw360 was Live Array together with Java, together with Cloudant, and for database, there's CouchDB, and this details. CouchDB is the most efficient NoSQL database at the time there. REST API did not exist. It's a really, really more single application there. And DevOps culture doesn't even exist at that time. The word was starting to be there. So what I do in my previous company, I started to do a proof of concept for deploy this. What I hear is this. Installation is most time complex and frustrating. Yeah, it's really this. And this is considering for the base for a very experienced developer there, like do it. It's several tutorials and approaches. There's no unified approach. It means that there's no single way to install. You can try several ones. It fits. There's no one solution fits them now, and it's hard. And what to do then? I thought about it's myself. Let's go try Docker there. At that moment, there's two solutions of deploying Docker, two versions of solutions. None of the both versions are finished there. It's incomplete there. And then the build system doesn't love Docker. It was completely crazy things for the new Linux there. So we need to change. I need to change part of the build system. I need to start to contribute there. And suddenly I become core contributor because this. And then everything starts. There we go. We need to think about how to modernize these things. We think about where we should modernize this. In authentication area, and REST API, and interface, and tool interconnection. And we need to keep continuous improvement. Like, we cannot stop because there are companies already using the software the way it is today. So we need to create approach of maintenance, contained features, sanitizing, and added SPDX2 that Toshiba made recently there. But update current framework. What happens? Yak shaving 101. So I think everyone knows what yak shaving is, right? Or in terms of software. So fine. So basically, I end up on this thing. The main software needs to be updated. The core part of software is the Live Array. So we triggered a huge amount of updates of hundreds of libraries there, everywhere. It means that normalized versions started this whole process. So the yak part start here, because now, can you decouple any framework? Yes. So Bosch was ahead of its time. It created a framework, Angular, and then I disappear again. And wait a minute, where are you? Oops. Yeah. Oop. It simply disappeared. Yeah. I don't like Mac. So Bosch was already and created the front end, but then the projector not went ahead. But because the front end there in Angular, it created REST support, and then okay, this is perfect there. Then POC interface, new one, new front end is on the way. It's going, it's created based on SvelteKit. What happens there? No, it's not good because REST API was not one-to-one because the REST API was created tied to Angular interface, and then we need to improve the REST API. Okay, that's fine. Let's do it. What's happened there? Improve REST API. REST API need improvements mostly for the new front-end efforts. Completely fine there. But the core authentication is in the old front-end life array. So what's happened? Okay, another one, Yak again. So we need to design a new authentication framework for this. Doing the authentication framework? Yes, of course. And then which database? It's original part that sw360 usually that's putting everything inside the database. It's a CouchDB database, but life array using a completely different part is PostgreSQL database. It means we are running two databases for two different reasons and two completely decoupled their interconnection. Even the user level, we need to have users connected in both life array and both sw360. This is completely difficult, yeah. So it means that the main CouchDB and the life array relies on Postgres. So I should prepare the system to use a single database. But what coming next, right? You know about. There's a need to abstract database handling where we can use a unique external source because right now we have attachments for every single thing, storage and database. Every single application in the FOSS today that work on compliance is storing the different external storage. Doesn't matter if you are using Artifactory, local storage server, or even inside a Postgres database for file system there, or even Git LFS if you are crazy enough. So then we need to talk about the source attachments. So the design of the sw360 store reference inside the database. And then new interconnection between tooling, it makes difficult. Just to understand how the process is used today, if you scan something else there, the source code need then to communicate with sw360, then we need to store the source code inside the sw360, the tarball, not the source code open. And if you want to use in things like curation, like Opossum or Fossology, you need to push the source code entirely to network, push in there, pull back, and do everything. So it's costly, and the size of database is huge. In the end, it's really need to get there. So we need to create a way to decouple the sources as a reference there. And yak. So this is the key things. Why this is so small amount of things? Because we cannot stop the software. We cannot simply rewrite the software. It's just like rewrite the software means the death of the software. This is pretty clear. This is enterprise software. This is not a software that every enthusiastic guy that goes out of your garage goes there and builds. Companies depend on the software. So you need to keep the base working and keep you improving, doing improvements. So this actually is the first stage of sanitizing what you need to do in the future with sw360. And then the future waits. So this is probably the last time you see this screen, and I hope the next time will be the new one. There. So, thanks. It was quickly because my time was quick here. And then questions now. It's just like, since we are small people here, we can discuss openly. Yeah, thank you. So, questions, remarks, complaints? Yeah.
I mean, it's really cool to see what's happening with the project. It's really nice to see. What changes do you already did to the REST API?
The first one that was started was basically the installation part. So the first step was make install in one single step. The second one was make the Docker completely easy to care about the dependencies, because installing dependencies is always complex. And the last step that is supposed to be is on my machine right now is actually pushing the official Docker in the Docker registry at least, and we can basically install in one single click in every machine, and you can push in single instructions there. The second thing that I didn't push in here that we already made it, is the whole documentation was spread around every part in GitHub, in the documentation site, the website there's. So we completely redesigned the entire website there, and the documentation is entirely the website. So it's one single source of information, so we can do everything now properly describe it. People don't need to scramble to see where it goes. We deprecated the several ways to do it installation there, so we can have one single installation format that is supposed to be Docker or one single instruction. And the next one that we are working now is update life-array. This is the big one that is happening right now. Because life-array was 6 years old, and thanks for by log4j, now we need to update everything. And then we are updating life-array. And after that, the next thing to tackle will be REST API, but will not be in one single step. It will be the interface together with the REST API. We're doing it in this way. And in some way, in parallel, we need to do authentication. This tree needs to run the next part. I don't know how, because it's a lot of things to do at the same time with not a huge amount of people, but this is the next step. Then we tackle the database. Yeah.
So I remember the last library update.
Yeah, the new one is so fun.
Yeah, I know it was.
Yeah, so basically this is there. And after we reach, hope next year, all these changes, then we are thinking about how actually we can evolve the software in different direction. Yes, we need to make the current base completely sign-in, free of huge dependencies and process. Then you can actually make things better.
Are the others joining this? So Toshiba?
Well, I pretty much convinced the people on the project to doing this thing. So we changed even the process there before. It's just a small commits that happens from time to time. Right now, we are really pushing commits on the master like hell and breaking stuff there and making it happen.
And the Docker container, does it contain all the databases, or is it a set of containers?
Well, okay, stage one single container with as a compose running the CouchDB and Postgres in the container, separated. Stage 2 now it's actually creating several containers for the build step that we can isolate 3 feet, we can isolate CouchDB Lucene, every part of build and the base is completely run one time, and then you don't hinder anymore the time of building the system there. The second stage will be the moment that we have the front end that will be written in a completely different language out of life-array. So this will be a completely different container connected there. In the future, the next one will be REST API. So yeah, you are correct. It needs to be the REST separated from the back end, separated from the front end. But it's step by step there. So yeah.
I didn't learn new ideas because when I looked at the project a few years ago,
Yeah, well, the code was
conclusions, but at that time
Yeah.
it was only Siemens enough.
the code was pretty much monolithic, and since we were touched by different people developing the things, it was far to be consistent. So when you're running inside the code, I actually read most of the entire build system from top to bottom, all the source files from top to bottom there. I already rewrite entirely the build system in Gradle too, but it's not ready yet to change it. So and updated Maven at the same time. And we have, for example, 5 or 6 different versions of the same software towards in the middle of those things there. So the first thing that I did was make it everything using one single version of each dependency there. Just at least to understand what's happening there. Yeah. And it was really difficult, but I used to have a background to do this kind of crazy things, and I know how to do it there, based on KDE history there. By the way, I was the guy that wrote the KDE 1 to run in modern systems. I completely remade the entire KDE 1 to run, just to have fun. Yeah, it was PR tricky that I made at the time. But in the end, that's it. So the software right now, it's easy to build. It's kind of easy to deploy because it still has all the huge amount of configurations as you used to do in life-array, in post-life-array, in this case post-installation. We just need the lar files now. We just don't need any more click. This is reduced a lot. which is a good thing. But it's still difficult to install. You need some comprehension for the people that do it, and honestly, it's still not scalable. It's take a lot of resources there because it's the whole Tomcats and the whole this is a very difficult topic to touch there. It's about how the web applets and Tomcat is running right now, but simply it's too much to touch right now. So this is a problem that will be tackled at some point in the future, hoping that there's. And okay, the one thing that I don't put in here, but actually one thing you want to do is we're starting to interconnect with applications in the terms of the REST API at the point that we can easily talk with every compliance application and provide the resources that other applications don't do it, like most of the front end and indexing of the software. Because 100% of the applications, despite some proprietary ones, are mostly command line tools that generate data formats or even reports, but no clicky interface or content. That's exactly the origin of sw360. And this is how it's supposed to be the orientation there. But this is discussion for future there. Yes, the data model. People love to talk about data model. Yeah, I myself will not touch the data model. I hope people join us and they're talking about the data model. Then we can join. It's too much for me this case. But yeah, it's obvious that this will change it. It's a natural evolution, but we cannot do it now. Like, yeah, and that's a big question I am doing myself. How actually we can move for a new data model without breaking the old one?
That's where we added this additional value. So actually what we did in our REST API and client was to impose another data model on the existing data model. So
yeah,
that was basically
well,
strategy there.
We have plenty of possibilities to do that, but I will not touch the data model now. That's something too harsh.
That companies like Siemens really use fields which did not.
Siemens is really opening right now about this better. So they are really working in this in a spreader way. It's so good because we can see things happening every day there. And they really want to unify it's not Siemens anymore running the show, to be honest. It's Toshiba and Siemens and some developers, and they agree with have a common not framework, what's the right word, a common goal between all the companies what they're going to the software. It's really they want to make it public. Yeah, they're working on it. So it means that we will not be hidden agendas or companies there. If a company needs something, put it on open and we're working together, that's to make it happen. That's supposed to be valid for anyone. So this is, it's how it's open source software should be in a way. It would be fun there because how actually the companies are giving benefits to the others, see? Yeah, the funny open source. This is a very interesting question. I need to raise this for some people there. Okay, guys, thank you. This, if you don't have any question, but you have my new contact here, the big email there. And feel free to contact me every time. That's if you're really interested. And if you have people that want to work on coding in sw360, please come to us. Right? Good. Yeah. On. Go.